This Mercury retrograde is looking absolutely wonderful. Mercury retrograde is just a time of stepping back and reflecting. Whatever it is that we're revisiting is going to bring us blessings. Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I'm back with another super exciting extended forecast. And this one is actually for the entire 3 weeks of the upcoming Mercury retrograde through the signs of Libra and Virgo. This Mercury retrograde is looking absolutely wonderful, you guys. I am so excited to deliver this forecast. I know what you're thinking. Mercury retrograde typically has to do a lot with miscommunications, mishaps, disorganization, missed appointments, people having to go back and redo things. But this Mercury retrograde looks like a huge blessing. This energy is not only going to bring Mercury retrograding back into its home and exaltation sign of Virgo, but along the way, Mercury is going to be making an opposition with the great benefic Jupiter. It's going to conjunct Venus, which is another benefic influence. It's going to trine Pluto, you guys. It's going to bring so many good things. This is a time of really clear, intense insight and introspection. And this is a time where whatever it is that we're revisiting is going to bring us blessings. And so I'm super excited about this 3-week time period, especially because Mercury retrogrades typically get a bad rap, but they're not really a bad thing necessarily, especially when they're making a lot of positive aspects and doing a lot of positive things like this particular Mercury retrograde happens to be doing. And so Mercury retrograde is just a time of stepping back and reflecting. Mercury is moving very slowly. It's very strong in the skies. It's inhibited in its ability to kind of go quickly and do the things that it normally does that are true to its nature. It's a very quick thinking, quick moving planet, right? And so when Mercury is slowing down, our brains slow down, our nervous systems hopefully slow down a little bit. We are able to sit back and take stock of our lives. We're able to revisit ideas and experiences and situations that would have long been past us, that would have otherwise been fleeting. And with the series of Mercury retrogrades from the air to the earth signs that we've been experiencing all throughout this year, including this one, this is all about taking ideas that have passed us by and that we would otherwise have missed and taking that into reverse, right? Reviewing those ideas and grounding them into something practical, grounding them into something real. And so this Mercury retrograde is no exception to that. We're going to be revisiting not just ideas, but especially connections and collaborations and communications in the sign of Libra. We'll also be revisiting maybe some details that have been missed when it goes back into the sign of Virgo that we really need for something. And especially the details we really need to take those connections, to take those conversations, to take whatever it is that's coming back around for us on that mental level or on that communication level. And again, to ground it into something that's very real, very useful, very practical. And so this Mercury retrograde is going to be absolutely, I think, a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of the energy we've had over the past couple of months. And yeah, so it begins again on September 9th. That's when Mercury stations to go retrograde. That'll be happening at 8 degrees, 55 minutes in the sign of Libra. It'll retrograde all the way back to 24 degrees, 42 minutes in the sign of Virgo. And that's when it will station direct on October 2nd. And before we get into kind of the details of the entire Mercury retrograde, I just want to mention for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Heather Eland. I'm a professional astrologer and an astrology teacher, and my specialty is helping students who are struggling to take all of the bits and pieces and put them together to learn to give meaningful, accurate astrology readings with confidence and make predictions. The best way I do that, of course, is through my Cosmic Academy of Astrology, which is my year-long astrology program. You can find the details for that down in the description below. below. And even if you're not ready for a full-blown astrology program, I have a free gift for you, my Astrology 101 PDF guide, which is a printable guide that goes through the signs, planets, houses, aspects, and so much more to help you to understand your birth chart, and these free videos that I provide for you as a resource almost every single week. Speaking of which, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my important forecasts, tutorials, or other videos, especially if you're someone who's wanting to learn astrology. But in this video, I'm going to kind of go through the bullet points of the general forecast, and then we're going to get into the forecast for all 12 signs. And so when we get into that forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign, because your rising sign is going to be the most important energy. The sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is also important to listen to, although that energy will be a little bit more internalized and subjective. And so make sure you check out all three to get a more comprehensive overview and to get the most out of this general forecast and all of my general forecasts that I do here on YouTube for you all. Okay, and so one of the things that's going on here is that the outer planets that are being aspected are all retrograde. So this is a lot of revisiting, a lot of revisiting. The shadow period for this Mercury retrograde has already passed us. It actually began on August 22nd, and so that's the pre-shadow period. That means a lot of what comes up in the area of our charts and lives that's being impacted by Mercury in the signs of Virgo and Libra. So check where those signs fall in your chart, what houses they fall in, and what significations those houses bring using my Astrology 101 PDF guide or your resource of choice. And pay attention to what comes up between August 22nd and September 9th, because that is what we're going to be revisiting. That is what we're going to be bringing back around. That is what we're going to have to integrate or reintegrate in some way. And it's like we think we've gone forward. We thought we moved past this idea, this situation, this circumstance, but lo and behold, when Mercury is actually retrograde, it's back again. But it's going to be back, I think, in a good way. It's like, oh God, I'm so glad that this is back, because now I have much better insight, and wow, I can't believe that I would have missed this opportunity. I would have missed this connection. I would have missed whatever it is that this is bringing back around. So I love that energy. During the pre-shadow, Mercury will trine Pluto and oppose Jupiter. That's going to happen on August 22nd and September 2nd, respectively. And then Mercury stations to go retrograde, as I mentioned before, on September 9th. It's going to oppose Jupiter on September 18th, which is where we're going to revisit some higher understanding of a problem that's been kind of causing us some issues, where we've been feeling perplexed about something, and all of a sudden we get this sort of different perspective, and it comes to us kind of like a jolt with that Jupiter in the sign of Aries. And we're able to reintegrate that new perspective. We're able to see things in a different light through this period, again, of introspection, which is really what Mercury is about. It's about internalizing your thoughts. It's about communicating less and thinking and listening a lot more. That's the receptive energy of Mercury, right? Mercury is not just our communication when it comes to what we say, which is what we think about when we think about the word communication, but communication goes both ways. And too many of us these days are just talking, and not listening. This is a time to listen. Seek to understand what's going on first before you make decisions, before you speak. Don't rush into giving an answer to something, making a decision on something. That's really important during the Mercury retrograde period. And so that's going to be happening, the opposition to Jupiter. Mercury will be Cazimi on September 23rd at 0 degrees Libra at 12:49 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So you'll have to translate that to your time zone, of course, to get a better understanding of the time frame for that. But it's usually roughly 2.5 hours before and after the exact Cazimi period. And what this means is that Mercury is considered to be elevated in its influence in a very positive way at the seat of the sun. What I found personally with my friends and family and with my clients is that this is a period where often you get a really powerful download or insight. When it's Mercury Cazimi, when it's in retrograde, making that type of conjunction, it's typically a time where it comes internally. It's kind of like if you're spending time in contemplation, if you're spending time in meditation, if you're spending time not jibber jabbering or overthinking things, if you're just sitting in silence or doing something mindless, the answers that you probably didn't even know you were seeking will come to you, and they'll come to you in a really big, powerful, important way. And so that's how I recommend using this Mercury Cazimi period on the 23rd of September. Mercury will retrograde into Libra on the 23rd, which I already mentioned, and go Cazimi at 0 degrees in Libra. And then on the 27th of September, it'll trine Pluto. This is such intense mental focus and discernment, again, especially internal. So like doing something more solitary, like spending time in research, spending time journaling, writing, contemplating, like doing things that are more receptive and also maybe a little bit communicative or active, that's going to be your best way to gain some really powerful insight. But whatever it is that you're trying to zone in on and hone in on, you're going to find it at that time. This is like a laser focused mental energy. And so as long as you're not bogged down by too many thoughts and too many things going on externally, this time in this period of contemplation and internalization can bring incredible mental breakthroughs. And so I love this energy. Mercury stationing to go direct on October 2nd. So that's when it stations to go direct and it'll start moving forward again. Just know the periods right before and right after Mercury goes retrograde are still very retrograde-y. That's not just because Mercury's in its shadow period, but it's because Mercury's moving very slowly. Remember, Mercury is going against its normal nature, which is to move very fast around the sun, right? It's the fastest moving planet in our solar system when it comes to its orbit around the sun, as far as we know. And yeah, so it doesn't like to go slow, even when it's just from our perspective here on Earth. And so when that slow speed of Mercury is still an issue, before it really picks up momentum toward the end of that shadow period, things still feel very sticky. It's not a time to plunge headfirst or move forward. You still have to be like Mercury and take things slow when it comes to your plans, your ideas, your communications, everything that comes up for you like that. And that shadow period, by the way, ends on October 17th, and that's when we're finally out of that Mercury retrograde zone. Not that this is a bad Mercury retrograde zone to be in, but you know, by that time you're probably wanting to get some momentum going with all of the beautiful blessings, bright ideas, inspiration, wisdom, and discernment that you've gained through that Mercury retrograde period. And so that's where we get to finally move on and do something different in the era of our lives being impacted by this Mercury retrograde. And so that's my general forecast. So let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning of course with Aries and Aries rising. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this Mercury retrograde is going to have you revisiting issues pertaining to work, health, daily routines, and your relationships. This is about revisiting old routines, old habits, old health regimens that worked really well for you, or that you maybe thought about or learned about but never actually integrated into your experience. This could also be an old project or job opportunity or work-related opportunity that comes back around for you from the past for you to revisit internally. So it could probably, most likely it will be an idea, but it could also be like an actual opportunity that you get a message about where it comes back around, where maybe you got passed up for an offer or a position, and all of a sudden you have this person calling you and saying, hey, actually, could you start next week? Or could you, start after the Mercury retrograde maybe? This is a really great time for you to gain clarity on what you need to do in order to just have a better, healthier existence. This is also going to be a time where you can spend time in introspection and in contemplation in order to figure out ways to communicate better with your employees or your coworkers, and that could go quite well for you. This is also a time where old relationships or old issues in relationships can be brought back around, especially when it comes to messages and communications that are coming forward during this time. And really, I mean, this energy too could bring a really powerful position for you when it comes to your career and your public reputation, where all of a sudden you are offered a position of power and you didn't expect it, or you thought that it was already past and you missed your opportunity, and that opportunity can come back around. But I love this for revisiting energy, especially in relationships toward the second part of this Mercury retrograde. So after September, let's see here, September 23rd. This is a time where, really powerful, really positive old connections can come back around to bring blessings and benefit you in ways you never could have anticipated. For Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this energy is happening in your 5th and in your 6th house. So Mercury is retrograding in the area of fun, spontaneity, joy, where you go to experience pleasure, where you go to engage in hobbies and interests and pursuits that you do because you love to do them. There could also be an energy of revisiting something involving children or your children in some way, where maybe they asked you permission for something, you said no, then they ask you again and you're like rethinking it and you're like, maybe this is actually a good idea. I'm going to give them that permission to do that. I'm going to sign that permission slip, or I'm going to take them to that place that they wanted to go. This is also a really great time for you to revisit your childhood, not just like the things that you loved, but the things that you did for play. So almost like activating the energy of your inner child and doing the things that you used to love to do just because you were a carefree little kid. And this could bring that back around in a big way. This is also a great time to revisit travel plans, where, travel plans might come back around. And I would say, or dare to say even, fingers crossed, that travel plans could actually go quite well for you during this time, Taurus, just because of the way this is aspecting Pluto in your 9th house, especially if you're a Taurus sun, moon, or rising anywhere at the end degrees, so from 20 to 30 degrees. This is actually a potential for you, but you're going to experience, this could also be revisiting romance or reigniting the passion in a current romantic relationship. And then this retrogrades back into Virgo, where you're going to be revisiting your health, your work, your daily routines in a big way. An opportunity that's hidden behind the scenes that you thought had passed you by could come back around and bring you a lot of blessings through your work, or through maybe a new health regimen, or the opportunity to engage in some sort of like healing retreat or something like that. I love this. And also reconnecting with like old coworkers or people that used to work for you or with you in some way. Or revisiting maybe hiring someone that you thought that you didn't want to hire, not just in the workplace, but this applies to like hiring even someone to mow your lawn or something like that. Anyone you hire, someone to look at your car, to fix your plumbing, like these are 6th house people. And so you could revisit, somebody that you either hired in the past to do a job or you passed over to do a job, and that could actually benefit you in a lot of ways. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Gemini, this energy is happening in your 4th and in your 5th house. And so you could be revisiting old conversations, old connections, old communications involving your home, family, property, or real estate. This would actually be a really great time to revisit an issue pertaining to like a loan or financing, either for a home or for like improvements on your home or something along those lines. This would also be a really great time to revisit or restructure like a will or an insurance policy for your home. Like go back and make sure you have the right insurance. This would be a great time to do that too. But this could also just be you reconnecting with your parents or your family members, or even your children in a big way, especially if you're someone who doesn't have a strong connection with your children. The second half of this Mercury retrograde after September 23rd could bring a stronger, more beautiful, more beneficial connection. This is also you reconnecting to your joy and doing so within a group, doing so with other people, finding people who love what you love and doing those things with them can bring incredible new opportunities for connection, incredible opportunities for you to just experience joy fully and completely. I love this energy for Gemini. For Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancer, this energy of the Mercury retrograde is happening in your third and in your fourth house. And so this is a lot of revisiting old communications, old conversations, especially in really close, really deep, really intimate partnerships with other people, romantic or otherwise, just those close connections that you have that are really loyal, that you really trust, that run really deep. This is a time where you might be revisiting ideas with them, revisiting those connections in general. Those connections could come back around. This is also you revisiting something involving maybe vehicles, short distance travel, involving your neighbors, your neighborhood, your community in general. And this is where you can have like a reconnection maybe with a neighbor, or resolving a dispute or an issue with a neighbor. That would be a really great way to use this. If you have bad neighbors and you're having trouble with that, talk it out with them now. Revisit that issue, because this is going to bring a lot of blessings, especially around the time of September 25th, when we have that conjunction to Venus and that trine to Pluto on the 26th. I love this for that. Mercury is going to retrograde back into your fourth house, where you're revisiting connections with family, and also you're revisiting what you need to adjust and revise, or maybe even reorganize in your home, like living space, in order to create a much better, much smoother work-life balance. This would be a great time for you to revisit maybe working from home, or revitalize your home office if you have one, things like that. But this could also be like something going on behind the scenes that you're like kind of rehashing or editing or revisiting, that helps you manifest a lot of opportunity, or that helps you manifest a greater sense of perspective out there in the world, in your career, your public status, or the legacy that you leave behind after your working years, through what you do and how you relate to the public at large. And so I love this for Cancer. I love this for everyone. I'm going to say that for everyone. For Leo and for Leo rising. So for Leo, this energy is retrograding from your second back into your third. Old opportunities that you thought were gone, you thought you could not actually manifest, you couldn't take hold of, you missed them. They're going to come back around for you when it comes to your finances. And so this is great news and great energy for Leos, especially if you're having financial issues. It could be a really big, powerful, important project from your past that you worked really hard on in your work, that all of a sudden starts manifesting material wealth, or material results, or material opportunities for future wealth. This is also a really great time to rebalance your budget, revisit your financial situation as a whole. Take some time to like really sit with it and look it over and feel out what you actually want and need for yourself financially, and make a plan or revise your plan. This is a great time for that, and that can create a lot of blessings and opportunity for you moving forward. Mercury will be also in the, so it's retrograding back from Libra into Virgo. So Virgo, that's the second half of the Mercury retrograde actually. And so the first half of the Mercury retrograde, it's going to be in the sign of Libra, where you're going to be revisiting, revising, re-editing anything that has to do with your community, your day-to-day travel routines. You might be kind of looking at a way to make your commute a lot easier, or rethinking something like maybe getting a bike, or, you know, getting a new car or something like that. This is actually, and this is up until the 23rd of September, this is actually very beneficial for you in a lot of ways. And so I love, love, love this energy. This Mercury retrograde is in opposition to Jupiter. This is a really great time for you with that 9th and 3rd house axis to revisit travel plans or educational opportunities, or to go back and review educational materials from the past that, you know, maybe you forgot about, or you know, you just kind of haven't really taken a look at in a while. Really powerful new insights could come in that change your perspective on what it is that you've learned in the past, or that you're learning right now. And that can bring a lot of blessings and benefits as well. This is a really great time to reconnect with your community, but also to again, visit travel plans, or revisit connections with people, maybe at a distance or in foreign cultures or foreign countries as well. For Virgo and Virgo rising, this Mercury retrograde is starting out in your second house and retrograding back into your first house. And so this is a time where you are going to be revising, re-editing, revisiting a lot that has to do with your finances, not just your finances that you bring in through your own hard work and effort, but this is connected to your partner's resources, or resources in partnership with other people, to debt, joint finances, inheritance, other people's money, insurance payouts. It could even be that you like forgot about an insurance payout, and then all of a sudden you like get money in your mailbox, or all of a sudden you get money in your account, you get like a tax refund or some sort of money that comes in from some sort of investment or something that you kind of forgot about, or you thought that it wasn't going to pay out, or you or the opportunity had passed you in some way, and that could come back around. This is also a really great time for you in partnership with somebody else, so a financial advisor or your like actual spouse or significant other, to revisit and revise your financial plans for the future so you can create wealth opportunities for yourselves moving forward together. This would also be a great time to revisit applying for some sort of loan or financing, or paying off a debt, or previous financing. And so that's all happening. After the 23rd of September, Mercury's retrograding back into your sign. And this is all about you, Virgo. This is you revisiting something about yourself that you thought that you couldn't connect with anymore. This would also be a really interesting time for you to think about, with that Mercury conjunction to Venus, doing something to kind of revitalize your appearance, or revisiting, especially if you're revisiting an old style that you used to kind of have. So maybe like an old hairstyle that you used to wear, or like an old clothing style, or something that you used to do in the past to make yourself feel really beautiful, to exercise that self-care, and you're like bringing that back around, or even like something that's trendy now that was trendy like a couple decades ago, like in the 90s or something, and you're like, I'm gonna bring that back around into my wardrobe. That could be a fun way to use this. But this is also you reconnecting with your passions, the passions that that run really deep. This could also be you reconnecting with your sexuality. That's a big one for Virgo, because of that Venus energy making you feel much more beautiful, much more receptive, much more connected in relationship. And that trine to Pluto, which is in your 5th house, which rules sex. And Pluto is that intense, deep intimacy. And so this is something that you could be revisiting at this time as well. But this is especially about reconnecting to your passions and to the things that you love, and experiencing way more joy in your day-to-day experience. So lucky Virgo. For Libra and for Libra rising. So this Mercury retrograde is happening in your sign, and then it's retrograding back into the 12th house. So first and foremost, at the beginning of this until the 23rd, you're going to be feeling much more out in the open. You're going to be kind of revisiting, rethinking, revising things to do with your appearance, with your body, with your physical health. This is going to be a lot of old communication coming back around. Sometimes with Mercury retrogrades, it could be things that you put out there and said that come back around to bite you. But in this particular case, it's kind of like stuff that you said in the past comes back around and brings like blessings and opportunities, especially for important connections with other people one-on-one. It could even be that you decide to reach out to somebody from your past, and that person comes back into your life and brings a lot of blessings. Normally they say in Mercury retrograde circumstances not to like text your exes and things like that, but this is an exception where that could actually be okay, or to revisit or reconnect with an old friend that you miss, and bring that back around, and that could bring a lot of blessings. So I love this for Libra. The other thing that's going on here is that Mercury is going back from your 1st house into your 12th house. And so it's kind of like you're out there, you're connecting with people, and then the 23rd hits and it moves back into your 12th house, and suddenly you're feeling a little bit more solitary. This is a great time to turn inward. From that 23rd to the 2nd of October, this is a great time for you to spend time in solitude, seclusion, contemplation, focus on your writing, focus on your journaling, focus on your dreams, focus on your spiritual practices, focus on your family. That's what's really going to create powerful healing and powerful opportunities. This period of introspection is going to give you such discernment and such intuition about things that have otherwise been elusive to you. And so I love that for Libra. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising. So for Scorpio, this energy is happening in your 12th and retrograding back into your 11th house. And so you're going to start out feeling a little bit more secluded, a little bit more focused on creating a balance between being busy, busy, busy and resting and contemplating. You might have a lot on your mind that you're actually kind of turning your wheels around when it comes to your work and work-related projects and work-related connections and employee relations, or you have your wheels turning when it comes to revisiting and contemplating and thinking about ways to improve and expand on your health and your well-being. And all of these things are possible during this time period. Mercury will retrograde back into the sign of Virgo, and this is a great time. So between the 23rd of September and the 2nd of October, you're going to be revisiting friendships and connections, or maybe if you've just been more solitary during that time and even prior to this, you're wanting to put yourself out there. You're wanting to connect with your friends, your social networks, people that you love, and that's just going to be a really powerful, really positive, very joyful experience for you. But it could literally be that you reconnect with friends and people from your past that you forgot about, or that you thought this connection was over, and all of a sudden they're back in your life, and they're there for a reason. They're going to help you to understand something. They're going to help you in some way, and it's almost like also a deepening of connections that you already have in friendship because of that trine to Pluto in the 3rd house. It's like you're reconnecting with people in a new way, in a different way, in a deeper way, in a more intimate way. And that's going to be really important and really fulfilling for you, Scorpio, because Scorpio doesn't want to have those surface level connections, right? You want things to run deep. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this energy is retrograding with Mercury from your 11th house back into your 10th house. So the first half of this retrograde all the way up until September 23rd, you're going to be feeling this really powerfully in the 11th house. This is where you're going to be revisiting really beneficial, positive connections from your past in friendships, in group associations, in your networks for business or for just pleasure and for fun. This is also where, reconnecting with people who share the same interests, who share the same hobbies, who share the same passions can be hugely beneficial for you. If you're a Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 0 to 8 degrees, this is also going to really greatly improve communication and connections and relationships. And it's going to bring a lot of fun and enjoyment and spontaneity and passion back into your relationship. And so this is a really great time to do something fun or revisit something fun from your past that you used to do with a partner or with a friend that you have forgotten about or haven't done in a while. Mercury will retrograde back into your 10th house from the 23rd through the 2nd of October. And this is a time where old opportunities that you thought you missed that will benefit you career-wise when it comes to your public reputation, that will give you this like more notoriety, can come back around, or ideas from your past that could come through your networks too and just be brought back into that 10th house. It's like you networked with somebody for business, or you revisit a business like kind of networking thing, and it brings it back into the 10th house, and you take those connections and those ideas and you translate them into something that you're actually going to do, a new goal, a new ambition, a new career opportunity. And this is also going to help you revisit really good and really powerful career and financial opportunities where you can really transform your financial situation. You can pay off debts, you can make investments, you can store away that money in some way. And that's going to be really powerful for you as well. I would say if you're trying to accumulate wealth for a business purpose, like crowdfunding or doing something like that, or trying to get a loan or get money or investors, like this would be a time where an idea could come back up or a connection could come back up that could help you with that as well. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, Mercury is retrograding from your 10th back into your 11th house, or sorry, your 9th house. My brain's already in retrograde, and it's so soon for that to be happening. So Mercury is in your 10th house of career, of public reputation. It's in opposition to Jupiter in your 4th house. This is where you're revisiting opportunities to create a more pleasant experience for yourself in the home by creating a better work-life balance, for creating a better balance between what you're doing out there in the world and what you're doing behind the scenes. If you're a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising and you're nearing retirement age, or you're in retirement, or even if you're not, this could be a really great time for you to revisit something about the legacy that you are leaving behind after your working years, or an important plan that maybe you had in the past involving your retirement. Maybe you wanted to travel more. Maybe you wanted to get an RV and go around the country. Maybe you wanted to learn a really deep and really powerful skill and spend your time, studying and learning and growing in that way. Whatever it is, especially with that Jupiter energy, you have the green light to revisit that, to bring that back around, and to maybe even bring that into your experience moving forward. But for those who are not retired or not at retirement age, like this could be just about work-life balance for you, or creating opportunities in the home through revisiting old ideas, old connections in the workplace. Mercury's retrograding back into the 9th house, which again has to do with travel. And so this could be maybe even if you're not someone who's retiring and wanting to like live as a nomad, you could be wanting to live as a nomad in your working life. You want to find a career that allows you to travel, that allows you to move about the world, that allows you to do what you want to do when you want to do it, so you could have those big adventures. You could also be revisiting a connection to an old teacher, or reviewing old kind of curriculum and things that you've learned in the past, reviewing old textbooks. This could also be a really great time for you to revisit an opportunity to maybe go back to school and redo your education or get additional education in some way. This is also you rethinking and reflecting on your values, your philosophical, ideological, your philosophical value systems, your religious and ethical value systems, your moral value systems, and kind of translating that into the way that you move about the world, really intensely and directly connecting with your integrity. That's what this energy is about. And so I love this for Capricorn. For Aquarius and for Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this Mercury retrograde is starting in your 9th house and retrograding back into your 8th house. The first part of this retrograde up until September 23rd, is going to be very much about revisiting old ideas, old perspectives on life, old communications, old educational pursuits. This could even be like an old perspective or an old belief system that you used to hold and that you used to value, that you've kind of moved past and you thought it didn't have value anymore. All of a sudden it comes back around and you're like, maybe I should take this more seriously. Maybe I should study that religion. Maybe I should study that practice. Maybe I should look deeper into that philosophy. And that's something that you can integrate into your experience a lot more easily right now. This could also be you revisiting travel opportunities and travel experiences. And I mean, especially for short distance travel, I would say this could actually be decent for Aquarius, especially if it's a place that you've already gone in the past that you're revisiting. And especially for Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising anywhere from like 5 to 10 degrees, I would say that this could be positive for you in that way. And so, go for it. So after the 23rd through October 2nd, Mercury is going to be in your 8th house. This could be where a message comes through that brings you money. This could be like a bill that you thought you had to pay and all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's already paid. This could be, a refund check or some sort of check that comes in the mail unexpectedly from an insurance payout or from an outside source. It could be that your husband or your wife or your spouse or your significant other has unexpected money come in or revisits an opportunity from the past that brings in additional resources, additional funding for you. This is a really great time for you to rebalance your budget and revisit your financial planning, especially when it comes to investments, inheritance, taxes, to rewrite your will, even if that's something that's applicable to you. And that could all go quite well for you. This is also a time where you could revisit some old fears, some old anxieties, some old trauma from the past, and suddenly realize that it's not as bad as you thought and go through a really powerful healing. Like, hey, I actually can deal with this now. I can face this fear. I can let this go. And that's going to be a really powerful thing for Aquarius and for Aquarius rising as well. Finally, for Pisces and for Pisces rising, So for Pisces, Mercury is retrograding from your 8th house back into your 7th house. And so the first part of this Mercury retrograde up until September 23rd is all about money, revisiting old ideas, old plans, old opportunities financially. This is also about re-editing, revising, contemplating, and spending time in introspection to figure out what you actually need and want for yourself when it comes to your finances, your joint finances in marriage or in partnership, your investments, your inheritance, your debt situation, and also what you want to create for yourself or generate for yourself when it comes to wealth and how you can actually go about doing that. This is a great time to create a strategy or to revisit an old financial strategy that can be very, very helpful for you moving forward. Mercury will retrograde back into the 7th house. This is going to be a time where a lot of Pisces are going to be revisiting old romantic partnerships in particular because of that Venus trine to Pluto. It could also be revisiting a friendship and realizing that it should be something more, or it could be something more than a friendship. And that could be part of this too. This could be you revisiting a conversation that you've had in the past with a partner and just having it go really, really well. Like all of a sudden they're on board, you're working together really harmoniously. The issues from the past that would have come up in that discussion are no longer relevant. And all of a sudden you're able to see the light. You're able to create a solution that's going to benefit both parties and move forward with that solution when Mercury goes direct. I don't know if you should reach out to other people. This is where other people from your past will be reaching out to you most likely. And so I think that's actually going to be a good thing for you, especially like old friendships, old lovers, old like really intimate connections. And it could even be like business partnerships and friendships like that too. But yeah, you're going to be reconnecting with a lot of people. And I think that's going to be a very joyful and really positive experience and deepening your intimacy in your current relationships that you're revisiting in a lot of ways. And so that is my forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you share this with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from the information that I provided to you today. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.